finally getting around to giving you guys this video because I promised I would go into more depth about the poll that I did in my group. So I did a poll and there were three things, the top three things that stressed out particularly women. They were limitations, so limitations with time, money, and energy. Relationships or people in general stress them out. What was the other thing? Not being where they wanted to be, where it was a big stressor. And those were all tied for first place. So they all had the same amount of votes. And then in second place was always busy or always trying to find the time to, that was also stressful. So I want to go into a little bit more in depth on each of these to help you understand better why these things are stressing you out and, of course, what you can do about it. So let's go with the first one. With our limitations on our resources. So in order to make any change in our lives, we need time, we need money, and we need energy. We have to invest these three things. And some people can think it could be hard. It's hard to find the time, it's hard to find the money, and it's hard to muster up the energy to do these things. And I want you to take a different perspective. What if it could be easy? And what if it could be effortless? If those things could come to you easily and effortlessly. And the reason why these things stress us out is because we're overly focused on the lack of them. So when we're overly focused that I don't have the time, I don't have the money, and I don't have the energy to do the things that I want to do, all of a sudden, those things start to solidify and they start to get verified and they start to show proof. Like, see, my bank account is in overdraft. See, I don't have the time because I'm working a lot. See, I don't have the energy because I can't even get off the couch. So we're going to talk about ways in which that we can kind of reframe these limiting beliefs, because they are limiting beliefs, and how you can actually start to accept what is. So it is what it is. So you're tired, yes, that could be true. But does that mean it can't get better? No. So we need to look at ways in which we can improve those areas in our life, and then we can start to have faith and believe that that is so, raising our vibration so that those other things can come into our life. Because the other thing that stressed women out a lot in is relationships and people in general. And so here's the thing about people. We can't change people. Just like I can't change you, you can't change me. The only thing that we are in control of is ourselves. And so when we have expectations on people, and this can be tough in relationships, I get it, because not everybody had the same upbringing. You didn't have the same mom that I did, and your mom didn't have the same upbringing as my mom or my dad. And so everybody comes to the table with different upbringings, which is actually programming, how we were taught to be, live, work. Like, everything that we know how to do or be in the world is taught to us by our parents, our teachers, our parents' friends, our relatives. And so we all come to the table with these different life experiences. And then we have our own beliefs and our own expectations on how we expect our partners to act, how we expect our children to act, how we expect our friends and coworkers to act. And so when they don't, that stresses us out. Not only does it stress us out, it can upset us. It can make us so low vibrational that it can make us sick. And so our relationships literally have the most effect on our mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health. And so when the people in your life stress you out, you really have to take a step back and ask yourself, okay, what do I need to do to change this? And you're like, but I've done all the changing. I'm sick of changing. I'm like, well, that's a tough place to be in. That's when you get to be, when you start to set ultimatums with people. It's like, you're either got to do this or we're done. But you have to come to a realization, an actualization with your own boundaries and your own deal breakers. Are you prepared to follow through on the consequences that you set in the boundaries that you set with other people? Or can you make changes, alterations, compromises? And it doesn't always have to look like settling. Settling is literally when you're like miserable and you feel stuck. That's settling. Otherwise, you have choices. You can stay and, figure out what you need to do to improve the situation, or you could go. And going, I mean, like leaving a relationship, quitting a job. And it's all about your own self-worth and your own self-deservingness and your own self-respect in how you teach and allow people to treat you. So if you're not being appreciated, validated, respected in your relationships, which is why you feel stressed out, you need to do some deeper work. You need to maybe have a conversation with yourself to be like, what is it that I really want? Like from the people, what do I want? What do I need? And if you would like my needs and wants analysis to kind of figure out, throw it down on paper and be like, this is what I want. Or maybe you need some help communicating that to the people in your life. Let me know. More than happy to give you those resources. So the last one is you're not where you want to be right now, and that can be frustrating too. However, I want you to think back for a second to a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Are you further towards where you want to be, or has that changed completely in the last year? Sometimes we're on this course of this is what I want, and all of a sudden, we achieve that and we've moved on to something else without even realizing it, because we haven't done assessments along the way. We're not celebrating our accomplishments along the way. And so all of a sudden we find ourselves further along than we thought we were a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But you're stuck in the challenges still because you're moving on to something else. So sometimes you're not where you want to be right now because you're in the middle of achieving that. So if you're working towards it, good for you. It's tough. It's tough sometimes to be in the thick of challenges, overcoming challenges, because we ask for something from the universe, God. We're like, this is what I want, and then you have to grow into that person, or else you'd have it already. So if you don't have what you want, it's because you're in the process of growing towards who you are. Because imagine, so if you for 1 second just close your eyes and thought about the you having what it is that you want or don't have right now, what is that version of you doing that you're not doing right now? So that's where you've got still some work to do. You maybe need a little, if you're maybe a little bit more detailed plan towards the steps you need to take to get there. And then that can alleviate some of the pressure where you're like, okay, so I'm on my way. Like, give yourself some grace. Like, it takes time, it takes work, and you're on your way, and it takes growth. So allow yourself some grace, take some pressure off yourself, and still take some steps towards it and enjoy the process. That's some of the hardest things we forget, is that we get in the grind, and we forget to have some fun. So have a little bit of fun. And the last one, which is part 2, was always busy. It's stressful to be busy and find time. And I'm here to tell you that that's on you. That's on you. I feel like there were a lot of gifts in the pandemic, and one of the gifts we got was to like literally slow down and come to a grinding halt, and then start to put the things that are most important to you in the forefront. I feel like, things are getting back on track. We're getting busy again. But it's really up to you to allow. You're making the choices. You're making yourself busy. Nobody's telling you that you have to do all these things. And if you feel that pressure, you can just really have a conversation with yourself to be like, is this really that important in the long scheme and the long plan and the game plan? And if it is, then allow yourself permission to be like, okay, well then I have to say no to some other things. Being busy, I feel like, is it's a constraint. It's a made up thing that society has put on us, that we have to feel we need to be busy in order to be productive, which is so not the truth. And that's something that you can buy into or not. I choose not to. I love saying no to things that aren't going to get me towards where I want to be. especially things that are going to drain me mentally, emotionally, spiritually, around being the right, and especially being around the right people. So I don't buy into the busy. I buy into I'm doing things that are getting me closer to who I want to be, where I want to be. And so mind shifts and reframes are really important. So stop saying you're busy. It's a choice. You're not forced to do any of those things. Being like, yeah, I'm doing this. I really, if there's something else you want to be doing that you don't have the time for, that's when you start to have to get creative with your time. Where are you wasting time? I have a great time management resource also, if you'd like it, and it will help you be more productive in less time, if you want, believe it or not. So there's ways in which that we can make the most of the time, the money, the energy, the resources that we have to make life less stressful. The other thing I want to add is to find ways in which you can reduce your stress and boost your cortisol. Stress boosts your cortisol. We need to find ways to reduce our cortisol by boosting oxytocin. And we can do this in ways by hugging, doing nice things for other people, petting a pet, being around babies or young children, connecting with dear friends, and mostly women. So women, lowering our oxytocin, our stress levels, is when we're together and we're having fun and we're, enjoying each other's company and we're just bonding. So doing things together with other women. So that's a great way that you can reduce stress naturally, and just changing your mindset about that. So hope that was really helpful for you guys, and I'll see you guys around in the next video.